Tune in, turn up, it's time to go. Deep talks and a crazy show. It's Toon Along, yeah, you know the name. Big ideas, fun and games. Hit that play, don't miss a beat. This is the podcast where we all meet.
Good to have you back, folks. We got another episode, 2 in a row. How's that sound? Sounds good to me. Going to be watching an episode today of Bob and Margaret. This is Season 3, Episode 13, Undefended Border. Are you guys ready for this? See if you can find the episode. I'll cue you guys in wherever the scene falls where it looks pretty good. All right, here we go in 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, there you go. You can hear the sound starting up. Pulling some teeth. And the bug's about... I fell out. Foot doctor. There we go. Just a nice little show to play on a Thursday going to Friday night. What am I saying? We're already Friday morning. It's midnight, folks. Hope you guys are doing good. Hope you guys had a good week. Just trying to sit back, relax, watch a little cartoon. I felt like watching Bob and Margaret, I'll be honest with you. It's a show that I didn't really enjoy watching growing up. I thought it was boring. I thought it was like Dilbert, maybe a little too old for my time. But a good show, contradicting myself, but a good show nonetheless, right? I mean, it had, what, 3 seasons? Let's take a look. Bob and Margaret. No, 4 seasons. But just a solid show, right? I just remember the show playing on YTV or Teletoon. Can't remember which one. But it would play it late at night. It would be one of those Thursday night into midnight kind of show. Exactly like right now. So maybe it's a calling. Hope you guys found your calling this week. I really think this week I found a nice show. It's always nice to see the animation from different countries. This feels very much like Wallace and Gromit cartoon version. Speaking of Wallace and Gromit cartoon version, how come there's not a fucking Wallace and Gromit cartoon version? How come they haven't made one? This would be it, right? The next door neighbor would be Gromit. Hello, Gromit. And Wallace as well. She's got quite the fanny, hasn't she? Look at those necks. I love the way they're drawn. Even Margaret's tittins look very nice. What am I saying? All the characters' tittins look very nice. This is definitely an adult show. Okay. Just try and unwind here and fill myself up by me Margaret, me old minge. And me Gary. Don't forget the Gary as well. Actually, I think I would probably enjoy this show today. Now, obviously, if you guys are new to the show, the series, I don't actually watch I watch the episodes, but I like to just reminisce and talk about the shit that's going on when I'm watching it. And as far as memories go with this show, like I said, just a late night showing on YTV, Teletoon. After everything's played, after all the shows that you wanted to watch played, and then this thing comes on, Bob and Margaret. I don't think it was advertised very much on YTV. Come to think of it, a lot of shows that played late at night weren't really advertised much. They had the little bumper for it. Coming up next, Bob and Margaret, or something like that. But it was rare you would have seen an adult show like this being promoted during the day, right? But this is definitely an adult show. I mean, they're very blatantly, let's put it, drawing certain bumps on sweaters, trying to get everybody excited. I mean, what else are you going to do in the 90s, right? You got Duckman coming up next after this, right? Pretty much. Duckman, maybe some Oblongs, but it just falls right in nicely with those late night character shows. And Bob and Margaret coming from England, I'm sure the British humor, late night British humor is probably really funny. I mean, British humor in general, it's not for everybody. It's got its own little, thing for it. But I do appreciate the late night stuff. British comedy can be pretty funny late at night. Not to bash British comedy or anything, but there's a show, Little Britain, right? That came out with the show, and the Andy Williams and the other guy there, I forget. But those guys, they're really funny characters. They know how to play different roles and make it funny. But I watched the entire Little Britain series, and then when Little Britain USA came out, honestly, the USA version was far funnier. Maybe because I was able to get the jokes more, or at least better. But I'm not gonna lie, there are some skits in the British one. For instance, when the family's coming over and they're having Biddy. I think that's the American one, actually. I want Bitty. That one, with the milk. Do you mind? You mind if you have some Bitty? It's gold. It's absolute gold. And, you know, come to think of it now, I think I watched Little Britain USA before I watched Little Britain, the regular Little Britain. Enough about Little Britain now, right? No, but British comedy, it's top class. You got Rowan Atkinson, Mr. Bean, probably one of the funniest characters of all time. He's from Britain. But you'd never know. It's an international comedy, right? He doesn't speak. Just acts out the stuff. It's genius. Absolute brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Hang on. There's a little bit of shouting there going on in the show. Just turn it up a little bit. Yeah, that's the thing about the show. It does have funny moments, right? But I do remember the show being very boring at times, like the little things, the little details. But that's where, you know, somebody who's, I would say, post 15 years old in that time. Maybe today would be younger, but back then you got 15-year-olds to 22-year-olds watching this. For the most part, the demographic, I would think, over 18 for the most part, but everybody under 18 still watched. But I can definitely see the average adult enjoying this, like Dilbert, right? Just to think of a show like Dilbert, the odd comedic scenarios that one goes through in their life and can relate to this show. I couldn't relate to any of this. I didn't have a wife when this show came out. I didn't have none of this. So I just wanted to watch Beast Wars and Shadow Raiders. That was my late night shows. Those were my late night shows. Maybe some Daria, but even then, I thought that was boring back then too. Today, I appreciate it. It's a really great show. And hopefully the same could be with Bob and Margaret. Ugh. Just good to be back. Feels good, honestly. It feels really good to be back behind the old microphone. And just sharing my thoughts. That's all I care about right now is just unwinding, letting off a little steam, a little stress. Thursday going into Friday. There's nothing better than starting your day on a Friday. Feeling good, going right into the weekend, knowing you got some plans or whatever you have you. But if you have no plans, you can always watch a good cartoon. That's always a good plan. Of course, you don't really plan for it. You just kind of decide on the spot. Just like tonight, I was going through a bunch of episodes of different shows and trying to see what I was going to watch. And this one just kind of felt right for a Thursday night. I didn't want to watch this on a Friday night. Don't ask me why. Saturday morning, forget it. But Friday night, Thursday night, yeah. It'd be fun to do a Saturday. You know what? I think I'm going to do it this Saturday morning or Sunday morning. Yeah, either way. I might pre-record it, but it's fun to do it live. It's fun to do it at the moment, at the time, right? Do a Saturday morning special. Just watch a couple Saturday morning classics. You know, some Rocco's, some Cat Dog, some SpongeBob SquarePants. Why not? Just any great show, bring back the old classics like the Flintstones, the Jetsons, Wacky Races. Something about that Saturday morning magic. Waking up after a long week of doing nothing as a kid. The hardships of going to school, right? And then you just want to sit down for, I guess, the 3 hours or 4 hours you have and do absolutely nothing. Sit and have a bowl of cereal. And the same goes for late night shows, right? Think about it. Your parents are about to sleep, or you have a little bit of free time where you can watch a show, and there's not much on for a kid late at night. But if you got YTV, at least you got some animation, some cartoons. Maybe it's not meant for your age group, but at least you had something. Today, I have no idea what they play on those shows. I think they feel more on demand based. I think they're struggling for views, if I had to guess. I don't know. I'm just speculating. But I just feel like the old television cable network is having probably a hard time due to streaming services. Everyone can just binge watch. And there's good to it, right? There's good things about binge watching, and there's bad things. And I would say the negative thing about binge watching would be you don't really appreciate the show. It just kind of comes in a flash and gone. Whereas when you're watching a whole show throughout the year, starting in September, school starts in September, you got those shows coming out, the fall lineup, deep into December. You've been waiting every weekend. For 20 weekends in a row, you're watching your favorite cartoon, and then summertime comes, and then you got reruns. But you still watch some of it, right? It still plays. It's still on your radar. Whereas today, you just kind of, if you want to watch all of Family Guy, you can certainly do it, but I guarantee you're not going to be going to work the next morning or school the next morning and having a laugh about the joke you heard the last night. Because guess what? You're the only motherfucker watching that show. All 12 seasons of it. So you're by yourself. But there's always something about going to school Monday morning after watching Simpsons and Family Guy, American Dad, Bob Burgers, all those shows. Mainly Simpsons. Simpsons was definitely the one that lasted, was there the longest. Family Guy as well, but just something magical about laughing about those jokes. First thing you said when you see your buddy on Monday morning, hey, you guys remember those jokes? Yeah, let's go ahead and recap what we heard and just have a good laugh. And at the same time, it got me motivated to just kind of doodle and draw the characters that I loved. Just sitting down in class, first thing Monday morning, teachers like to start it nice and easy if they were good teachers. But just sitting there and doodling in the book, writing some stuff and making some comic strips. It was fun. Good times. I don't have that passion as much anymore just because of the lack of interest from my fellow citizens, I guess. You're not going to go up to your neighbor, or I don't know. I'm not going to go up to my neighbor and talk about the episode of Trippin' the Rift that played in on my TV and not anybody else's. Pardon me. So we're back at Bob and Margaret here. Right now we're at just about the halfway mark, if I had to guess. And Bob is driving. Oh, he's going to the U.S. border. They're in America right now. So okay, I remember now. They're British. They're Brits living in the U.S. Is that what it is? But I'm pretty sure this is a British show. You know what? Let's do a little research on Bob and Margaret, just to see for fun what kind of little surprises we have. All right, IMDb it. Why not? Oh, it's a British Canadian adult animated. Oops, I missed that. Too fast. Here it is. Bob and Margaret is a British Canadian adult animated television series produced by animation studio Nelvana. Okay, so it's YTV. It's a YTV production. And created by David Fine and Alison Snowden. I wonder if there's any relation to Mr. Edward. The series was based on the Academy Award-winning short film Bob's Birthday. Oh, okay. Okay, featured the same main characters. Which won the best? Okay, I seem to remember that. Bob's Birthday? I feel like it was one of those Canadian independent film shorts, and then they made it, Nelvana probably picked it up. But if you guys, I don't know, for those of the Canadians out there, or Americans, maybe you've seen this, Canada had this, or still has, this independent film something, IMF, is it not the IMF? Canadian Film Board. But it's the independent one. The one with the little character. Oh, here, National Film Board of Canada. So if you guys go to national NFB.ca, it's not a football league, and you go there, I mean, this is the first time I've been on this website in years. I wonder if they have some of the old stuff. Let's see, animation. Click on animation. I feel like this is where Bob and Margaret would have had its start. Oh, they have some of the old ones. Cool. I'm gonna cycle through this later. Yeah, the National Film Board of Canada had really great stuff, really great content. A lot of small, enthusiasts of filmmaking back then. Yeah, it's claymation, cartoons, stop motion. All these different concepts were brought together and showcased on the NFB. Mainly Canadian, of course, because they wanted to promote more Canadian content. There wasn't a lot of platforms to release it. But just the fact that they did that was really cool, and you got to be exposed to a variety of different unique art styles. And one I can remember was, I'm trying to remember, if anybody out there can reference me this short animation, I believe is from the NFB. There's basically a girl, she goes inside a wall, and she goes to another world, and she comes back somehow. I don't remember the whole detail. It may have been claymation, it may have been some kind of stop motion, kablam looking type thing. I don't remember. I seem to remember a washing machine or a dryer, if she goes into one and ends up in another world, kind of like Narnia, but it's backwards, flipped upside down. And I don't know if she comes back. I think she comes back, but it's through the wall of some sort, some kind of portal. I remember that. And then I remember there's the jukebox bugs or something like that. You go inside a jukebox, And there's all these little bugs, and they're squirming around. Really, it's kind of like claymation. Not really claymation. Kind of like, and once again, Kablam, Action League Now. Sort of like that. Took little action figures, moved them around. Really well done. If you guys have a chance to check that one out. Bug Jukebox, something like that. But yeah, Bob and Margaret, I really feel would have had its start on the NFB. I feel like it would have been one of those shows. Ooh, cashmere sweater, huh? I want to hear the other character's voice. They're in America. But are they always in America, or are they just visiting? Let's take a look at the plot here, boys. Boys and gals. Boys and squirrels. Okay, Bob and Margaret. Nelvana. Okay, the series is one of the few Canadian TV shows to ever have regular American exposure. Okay, in Canada, it was the highest rated Canadian main animated series ever when it aired in prime time on Global. Interesting. I did not know that. Very cool. The show revolved around a married English couple named Bob and Margaret Fish, Mr. and Mrs. Fish. A middle-class 40-ish working couple with no children and 2 dogs named Willie and Elizabeth. Bob is a dentist and Margaret is a chiropodist. What the heck is that? Anyways, Bob and Margaret struggle with everyday issues and midlife crises. Stories often revolve around the mundane, but in a way which is eminently relatable. Yeah, that's what I think. A lot of people can relate to this show. There's a lot of things that happen. That's why that's probably it's kind of like Family Guy a little bit, right? But obviously toned down on the stupid humor. Just trying to make a quick laugh. I can appreciate the show now a little bit more. From the trials of shopping to dealing with friends who annoy them but owe them a dinner. Okay. Oh, okay, here we go. The first 2 seasons, Bob and Margaret lived in England and South London and Balham. For the 3rd and 4th season, they moved to Toronto, Ontario, Canada, allowing the writers to explore the humor of culture clash. Cool, cool. So that makes sense. So we're watching season... Let me recap here. We're watching season 3, episode number 13, titled Undefended Border. That's the last episode. That's actually the last episode of season 3. Okay, so they're going to the U.S. So they're in Canada. So this is the whole thing. You get to see the geography of the show where they're bringing you. So they're living in Canada. They're from the UK. They're living in Canada. Now they're going to the U.S. border, touching on some of the sensitive topics from the time from back then. I guess the more simple time, right? Let's take a look more here at some more stuff. Yeah, it's true. There wasn't. I don't know why this says global right here, global Canada. So this would have been like the Sunday lineup. But why am I remembering this on YTV? YTV or well, Nelvana, right? Nelvana was YTV. Chorus, Nelvana, the whole group there. This played on YTV. It had to have played on YTV late at night. Let's take a look. Bob's Birthday. If you guys have a chance, go check that one out. That's the original animated short that made the show, Bob's Birthday. Let's take a look. Bob and Margaret, YTV. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. But I just want to remember. That it was on YTV. Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah, I see it here. They have a DVD box set, and at the top it said, available on YTV. So it was on YTV at some point. YTV had a nice lineup, if you think about it. Now, I'm trying to compare it for the American viewers out there, but it was basically a crossover between Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network. Bit of both worlds put onto one of the only Canadian cartoon stations. You had Teletoon, of course, which Teletoon had more mature stuff for the most part, I want to say. But YTV had better content. I feel like YTV was government run, so they were able to spend a lot of taxpayer money to bring shows to the Canadian radar. And I touched on this in last episode. Power Rangers was one of the first shows they brought. It was one of the biggest shows. Everybody wanted to watch it, and then government decided it was too violent for its people. So they They cut it. They cut it after even, I think, halfway through the first season or something. Didn't get very far. But if you guys have a chance, go check out on YouTube all the stuff I'm putting out from 1994 from YTV. Those are all commercials from Power Rangers when it played on YTV. So it's pretty exciting to have some of that available. Let's go back to the episode here and just see what's going on. So they're in jail right now. They probably said something stupid, right, at the border? Just touching on the little things. Yeah, that's one thing. If you guys are traveling USA, Canada, vice versa, or whenever it opens, or if you've ever traveled, yeah, it's best to keep it simple, short and sweet. Don't ask too many questions. Don't say more than you need to. I guess rule number one when crossing the border, right? The less, the better. They just want to go home. Poor couple. Wait, they're being detained at the Canadian border? It's kind of rare. Usually Canadian Border Patrol doesn't really bother the Canadian people that much. I know they bother the Americans quite a bit. We might not think that we do a lot of, severe screening, but we do. Apparently, I had a buddy of a buddy who was a Border Patrol guard, and he was telling me that, if anybody was remotely cocky or arrogant, they would just turn them around for no reason, which is kind of a, dick move, but I understand to some degree, and so that's why they say just be polite, respectful when you're at the border, and you should be good. You should be able to get through. That's the end of the episode, folks. Oh, that actually went by pretty quick. I don't know why, but when I was growing up, this show used to take forever because I'd be waiting for Beast Wars, Shadow Raiders, or any one of those good animes that would play. If it did play back then, I don't remember if it did, but there was some animes like Gundam, Escaflowne, a couple good shows that played animes that played late at night on YTV. Woo! Man, that brings back some good memories. Honestly, who would have thought Bob and Margaret would be bringing us together tonight, huh? What a nice show. What a delightful show to share with you fine folks. Oh. So, yeah, I don't know when the next episode's going to happen. Hopefully I get some time here and I can upload a few more. But I want to thank everybody for stopping by today and just spending some time out of their busy evening or night or day, whatever you guys are doing out there. And thank you for stopping by. Even if it's just for a few seconds, I do appreciate it. And I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. And I hope you guys will stop by again. Don't be shy. There's other episodes out there. I'm trying to change things up a little bit as we go, just to keep it interesting for myself as well, because eventually I'm going to run out of shows, and I'm going to have to, find some other movies and stuff. I'm trying to keep it, as diverse as I can, not just doing the same old episodes over and over. But I am picking the episodes fairly randomly, just to kind of, keep me on the edge, keep it short and sweet and simple. No complications there. So, that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful day tomorrow, Friday morning. Wake up and have that good weather. Really, you guys have some good weather, some nice sunshine, good hot weather. You can go out swimming and get the summertime rolling, right? And a night come and cool down in that house with some air conditioning and a nice episode of Bob and Margaret. Feels good, right? So, with that being said, folks, have yourself a good night. We'll be talking soon. I love ya. And don't forget to take that thumbs up, shove it up your ass, all right? See ya. Thanks for listening. You can find the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all your favorite platforms. Check out YouTube for retro content. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook, and visit toonalong.com for more info. Support us on Patreon, and we'll catch you next time.
Toon Along, yeah, you know the name. Big ideas, fun and games. Hit that play, don't miss a beat. This is the podcast where